Magnavox Odyssey. Before home gaming had a name, the Magnavox Odyssey gave people a reason to gather around a TV for something new. Created by engineer Ralph Baer, it launched in 1972 for about $100, a serious investment at the time. It had no sound, no color, and no processor. Every game ran through analog circuits that controlled light on the screen. Players taped transparent overlays onto their TVs to simulate environments. Tennis courts, haunted houses, even ski slopes. The console came with dice and scoreboards because the system couldn't track anything itself. The Odyssey sold roughly 350,000 units, a small number by today's standards, but groundbreaking for its era. Magnavox ended up suing Atari after Pong became a hit, claiming it borrowed too heavily from Baer's designs. The lawsuit went in Magnavox's favor, quietly setting one of the game's first legal precedents. Baer went on to develop early light gun technology that would inspire Duck Hunt and similar shooters. The Odyssey was awkward, slow, and primitive, yet it opened a door no one had ever seen before. A television that could play back. Atari 2600. When the Atari 2600 arrived in 1977, video games suddenly felt alive at home. The wood-paneled console looked like furniture and came with a joystick that every kid seemed to understand instantly. Cartridges changed everything. Instead of buying a new system for every game, people could just slide in a new one. Space Invaders, Asteroids, Pitfall all became neighborhood legends. Atari's early success exploded so fast that quality control disappeared. Anyone could publish a cartridge, and store shelves filled up with cheap knockoffs. The low point came with the E.T. the Extraterrestrial in 1982, a rushed game so broken that millions of unsold copies were literally buried in the New Mexico landfill. That mess triggered the 1983 video game crash. Retailers pulled out, investors lost faith, and developers folded. For a moment, gaming looked finished in America. Still, the Atari 2600 proved that people love the idea of interactive entertainment. It made the joystick an icon and gave the world its first true gaming boom. One wild, chaotic, unforgettable run. Nintendo Entertainment System. Nintendo brought gaming back from the grave in 1985. When stores refused to stock video games after Atari's collapse, Nintendo rebranded its console as an entertainment system and bundled it with ROB, a toy robot that acted as its Trojan horse into toy aisles. Once in homes, it didn't need any tricks. The NES delivered polish and imagination no one had seen before. Super Mario Bros. Became a household name. The Legend of Zelda introduced open exploration. Metroid and Mega Man built worlds full of challenge and atmosphere. Nintendo even created a strict seal of quality to prevent the shovelware that had poisoned the Atari era. That one decision restored public trust overnight. The NES sold more than 60 million units and defined what a console should be: compact, reliable, and full of personality. The gray controller with its red buttons became a symbol of childhood itself. After the chaos of the early 1980s, Nintendo made gaming feel safe, exciting, and worth believing in again. Sega Genesis. By 1989, Nintendo had the market locked, but Sega decided to pick a fight. The Genesis was sleek, fast, and confident. A black console that practically shouted rebellion. Sega's marketing was direct and loud. Genesis does what Nintendo don't. The system introduced Sonic the Hedgehog, a blue blur with speed and swagger who embodied everything Sega wanted to be. The Genesis thrived on attitude. Sports like Madden NFL and NBA Jam gave it credibility with older players. Mortal Kombat arrived with real blood on Sega's version, while Nintendo's was censored. And that single difference helped Genesis surge in sales. For a stretch in the early 1990s, Sega outsold Nintendo in the US, something once considered impossible. But its success led to overconfidence. Add-ons like the Sega CD and 32X confused buyers and drained momentum. Still, the Genesis gave gaming its first true rivalry and made the console market unpredictable again. For a few years, owning one felt like being on the winning team. Sony PlayStation. The original PlayStation was born out of spite and genius. Sony had worked with Nintendo on a CD add-on for the Super Nintendo, but Nintendo canceled the deal at the last minute. Sony kept the design and turned it into its own console. In 1994, the PlayStation arrived and changed gaming's direction overnight. The shift to CDs meant larger games, orchestral music, and 3D worlds. Players saw fully voiced cutscenes and cinematic storytelling for the first time. Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil, and Tekken 3 became defining experiences. Even the console's startup sound felt dramatic, calm breath before adventure. Sony built its identity around older teens and adults. The PlayStation was marketed with style and confidence, steering gaming away from the cartoon image it had carried for years. By the end of the 90s, more than 100 million units were in homes worldwide. Sony had entered the ring late and walked out leading it. Nintendo 64. Few consoles took risks like the Nintendo 64. Its three-prong controller looked bizarre, but it introduced analog movement, a concept that redefined how games handled 3D space. Super Mario 64 became the template for open-world platformers, letting players run, jump, and explore with unprecedented freedom. The library that followed still echoes today: GoldenEye 007, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Mario Kart 64, and Super Smash Bros. The system had 4 controller ports, which made couch multiplayer a ritual. College dorms and family rooms turned into arenas of laughter and shouting. Nintendo's one misstep was staying with the cartridges instead of CDs. Games loaded fast, but held less data, which pushed third-party developers towards Sony. The result was a smaller lineup, but nearly every title was a classic. The N64 was quirky and stubborn, yet its best moments still define gaming's sense of fun and exploration. PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 2 arrived in 2000 and immediately felt indispensable. It played games and DVDs, which made it both a console and a home theater upgrade. That dual purpose helped it reach living rooms that might never have bought a gaming system otherwise. Its library became legendary: Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, God of War, Shadow of the Colossus, Final Fantasy X, Metal Gear Solid 2, Guitar Hero. Sony managed to cater to every taste, from casual sports to deep RPGs. The PS2 eventually sold more than 155 million units, the highest of any console in history. It remained in production for over a decade, long after newer systems arrived. Players remember the hum of its disk drive, the glowing blue light, and the way it simply worked every time. The PS2 era wasn't just successful, it became the benchmark for how long a console could stay relevant. Xbox 360. Microsoft's Xbox 360 turned gaming into a connected world. Launched in 2005, it combined power, sleek design, and the smoothest online system anyone had seen. Xbox Live unified players across continents. You could chat, compare achievements, and compete without leaving your couch. The 360 became the heart of online multiplayer culture. Halo 3, Gears of War, and Call of Duty 4 defined the decade and introduced entire friend groups to late-night gaming sessions. The new achievement system made progress addictive, rewarding players for every challenge completed. Visually, this generation felt like stepping into the future. The Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 introduced true high-definition graphics, realistic lighting, reflections, and facial detail that had never existed on consoles. Games suddenly looked like interactive movies. Explosions in Gears of War, car models in Gran Turismo 5, and character animations in Uncharted made players stop and stare. HD televisions finally had games built to match them, and for the first time, people talked about graphics the way they talked about cinematography. Every generation since has chased the standard those two systems set. Then came the infamous Red Ring of Death, a hardware failure that affected millions of consoles. Microsoft publicly admitted the issue and poured over $1 billion into replacements. That honesty saved their reputation. By the end of its life, the Xbox 360 was a fixture in dorm rooms and living rooms alike, remembered as the console that made online play and next-gen visuals feel like a second home. Nintendo Wii. Nintendo flipped the table again in 2006 with the Wii. Instead of chasing high-end graphics, it focused on motion controls and simplicity. The Wii Remote could sense movement, turning a gentle swing into a tennis serve or a quick flick into a boxing punch. Wii Sports became the breakout hit, bundled with every console and quickly dominating living rooms worldwide. It sold over 80 million copies and pulled in players who'd never touched a controller before. Grandparents, parents, and kids all played together, laughing and accidentally smashing lamps. The Wii reached more than 100 million units sold, topping both Sony and Microsoft for years. Its library leaned on accessibility, but games like Super Mario Galaxy and Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess proved it could still deliver depth. The craze faded with time, yet the Wii's legacy lives on every time someone waves a motion controller. It reminded the world that gaming could belong to everyone. PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5 arrived in late 2020 during a global pandemic and instantly became one of the hardest items to find. Scalpers resold it for absurd prices, but those who managed to buy one saw why demand was so high. The PS5's bold white shell and blue glow gave it a futuristic look, but the real magic sat inside. Its custom solid-state drive made loading screens nearly vanish, pulling players into games without delay. The new DualSense controller redefined feedback. Triggers stiffened when drawing a bowstring, and vibrations mimicked footsteps, weather, and impact. Launch titles like Spider-Man Miles Morales and Demon's Souls showed off cinematic detail. Later, God of War Ragnarok and Horizon Forbidden West proved that single-player storytelling still dominated. Sony focused on immersion and craft rather than gimmicks, and the results felt instantly timeless. Even as streaming and cloud gaming expand, the PS5 keeps the traditional console experience exciting. Fast, quiet, and powerful. It represents the peak of what a home system can deliver, a mix of technology and artistry refined over 25 years of PlayStation history.